Great news from Big Thunder? Check that. Bad news from Big Thunder. What we thought was a reopening date is off. We've got an interesting permit that has been found that might trigger the beginning of the Avatar expansion, but first, let's talk about Storybook Land and what I guess is the 10-foot tall structure they were supposed to be building.
For months now, we've been watching the progress here at Casey Jr. and Storybook Land. Well, sort of watching because everything has been put behind these enormous construction walls and scrim and scaffold. We can't see anything. I came by again, Casey Jr., looking over the shrubbery. We can see actually that the scrim has been removed from that bridge portion as you start to head towards Storybook Land. But even that hasn't helped. With the scrim gone, I still can't really see what's going on there. The scaffolding is still there on the bridge, but still unable to tell what they might be doing. What we do know is that what they're doing, or one of the things that they've been doing, is right over that hedge, right in the middle of the attraction, as you head out of or past Cinderella Castle on your way to Toad Hall. Disney has confirmed that you're building a Rapunzel Tower right there on the left. This is the concept art that Disney provided, and it shows, you guys should know this scene. That's the bridge that Casey Jr. crosses before it makes the left back towards Storybook Land. And you can see Toad Hall there on the other side of the bridge. Just before that, on your left, will be Rapunzel's Tower. It's a modest-looking scene. I don't know if there's more to it than what they're showing here in the concept art, but that is Rapunzel's Tower, and it is confirmed to be coming to Storybook Land when it reopens. According to the article that the Disney Parks blog posted, beyond the tower, there's going to be some wanted posters seeking Flynn Rider, plus a secluded dock with a boat inspired by the one from the film that'll sit on the edge of the water. So there is a bit more going on there than just Rapunzel's Tower. Now, my question is, though, just using my powers of observation and scale, is this the 10-foot tall structure? There was a permit. We talked about this when they first closed Storybook Land. Before they even closed it, Disney had filed a permit to build a 10-foot tall structure. This concept, that is not 10 feet. That's as tall as a man standing. That may be 6 foot, maybe 5 to 6 feet. So perhaps they just couldn't get it in frame right. I don't know. But I'm wondering if that even is the 10-foot tall structure. You know, there may be something more for us if this concept art is to be believed with respect to its scale. Just stand any one of those guests up in the boat and they would be as tall as that structure. No doubt about it, in terms of the scale presented in this concept art. So we're still standing by. I guess we won't know until Storybook Land reopens, which, by the way, no date was given, though, in the update from Disney Parks blog, so we still don't know when it's going to open. There is no date on the refurb calendar either, so it is still up in the air on when this is going to happen. It's still looking like probably end of November, early December seems to be the most likely outcome for Storybook Land and Casey Jr., which, by the way, don't forget, they're replacing the track throughout, and they've been doing paint and polish on all the important sightlines, the Casey Jr. or ticket stand and Cinderella Castle. We'll take a quick stop next in Tomorrowland at the Galactic Grill. The walls are down. For a couple of weeks, we saw construction walls up around this entire area encircling the Tomorrowland Terrace, and those walls are down, revealing, well, kind of nothing. As I walked around, I did my best to see if I could find, everything's gone, so there's nothing left to work on. But there's no visible proof of whatever it is that they were doing. The floors, usually whenever it's something that you can't see, when you don't know what they're working on, usually it's something they're working on below grade. Maybe they're repairing concrete or something like that, or something that's happening below the surface. I can't see any sign. That's still the same surface on the ground there. You can see the same blemishes, etc. Same thing on the stage. This looks exactly like it was before. I didn't notice anything. All the imperfections and blemishes are still there. So I don't know what it is that they were working on. It's possible they were working on something that, with regard to the stage itself, maybe they had to work on something and had to bring it up in order to work on it, and they didn't want that to be visible to guests. That's a possibility. We'll stand by. I haven't heard, nor do I expect to hear what it is that they were doing.
One of the reasons why I couldn't put the video out, because in that video I say, hey, Big Thunder's going to reopen on November 23rd, and I feel really good about this. I feel confident that that's true. I feel like that's a reliable date. And no sooner had I said it, did they take it down. So obviously We have to, I'm doing this now on location. I'm shooting State of Disneyland today, and I'm reporting this to you now. We're going to roll that into the report for tomorrow. But just an update for you on Big Thunder. Bad news at Big Thunder. We still don't have a date, and it's making me think that maybe things aren't as going as they had hoped, not as well. Although I have heard write-ups over the speakers while I've been out here. I have heard write-ups talking. I don't know if that's, usually that means they're testing vehicles, but there's no vehicles moving on this track, obviously. This track is dead as disco right now, and so too is Big Thunder.
We'll go across the way to Golden Horseshoe. I'm stopping here because last week we talked about the casting call. The casting call that we thought it was between Fantasyland Theater and Tomorrowland Terrace. And I kind of dismissed the idea of Tomorrowland Terrace. Fantasyland Theater seemed like a pretty good idea, but it didn't feel right to me, obviously, because I don't think that Disney's in a place right now to be putting on a big show, a Mickey and the Magical Map type show. However, somebody pointed out in comments, what about the Golden Horseshoe? Because that's the Golden Horseshoe is where they do live entertainment, often with instruments, or it did back in the day, and comedy. And that's what the casting call was, needed musicians who could do improvisational comedy. That's screaming Golden Horseshoe. And now I'm even more excited about this prospect that we might actually be getting a show back at the Golden Horseshoe. That seems much more logical to me than casting for Fantasyland Theater. I do now think that's exactly what this is for. I have nothing to back that up other than a gut feeling and the one person who triggered me to think that way. I think we're getting a show back at the Golden Horseshoe. All the stars are aligned in that sense. And thank you, because the Golden Horseshoe is the complete waste of space if you're not doing a live show here. That is part of the Frontierland experience. If you're not offering a live show, what does Frontierland offer you besides Big Thunder? You can say the Mark Twain in the Columbia, but I feel like that's actually a whole different, that's the Rivers of America in my opinion, but technically you would call that a Frontierland attraction. That and the shooting exposition. Take care. So it is imperative for guests to feel like they're having a Disneyland experience for a Golden Horseshoe show to be back at the Golden Horseshoe. Okay, guys, if you'll allow me, let me take a quick break to remind you guys of our preferred travel partners, GetAwayToday. They are fans of our show, and we are fans of them. If you are planning a trip to the Disneyland Resort or to any Disney theme park or even to Universal or Alani or anything of that nature, make your travel arrangements through GetAwayToday. We love them. They are fantastic. They are the best in the business at making sure that you get everything you need out of a vacation at a Disneyland Resort or at the Disneyland Resort or Walt Disney World or anywhere you like. Knowledgeable, friendly, kind, and you'll probably get a good deal there. Use the link in our description for GetAwayToday. Let them know we sent you, and I hope you guys enjoy your trip. Now, we've got more to cover in Disneyland, but we'll do that a little bit later. Let's get out into the transportation hub on the eastern side of the park where, there's news been recently, with all the markings on the ground and wondering if they're getting ready to start building Avatar. A new permit has been revealed. Scott Gustin posted this on Twitter. A permit to install a construction fence at the site of the upcoming parking structure and transportation hub on the east side of the resort. Per Gustin, the fence will mark some of the first visible signs of work on the arrival updates announced earlier this year. Now, this is noteworthy because they don't normally file permits for fences. They build construction fences constantly throughout the park, and we've never had somebody say, hey, look, they filed a permit to build a construction fence at Avengers Campus, right? That wasn't a thing. And I'm not even sure if they do. But here we have a rather sizable fence being described, a fence 15 feet in length and 8 feet high, chain link fence, and 128 foot long and 8 foot high wood fence. Now that's 15 feet in length is not overly impressive. 128 feet. Now we're talking about something a little bit. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be together or side by side or what's going on there. But now we're getting a little bit sizable. That's something. It's not comprehensive, though. Meanwhile, we don't even know where exactly this is going to be. The only thing I do know is that whatever it is that they're doing is not going to interfere with the actual operations of the transportation hub. The hub will be 100% operational. Buses will come in, the Toy Story buses, plus the other one out there in the middle from other sites, other hotels, etc. All that is going to remain the same. So I don't know. I don't expect to find it here, perhaps, where the guests walk. I'm not expecting to find it where the Toy Story buses are. I'm not expecting to find it out in the middle part towards Space Mountain, towards Tomorrowland. I don't think it's going there either. The only thing that seems, if we're going to assume it's related to the Avatar construction, the only thing that seems more reasonable would be if they were build it on the left side where the buses drop off, where that fence is right there. On the other side of that fence is Monsters, Inc. But then there's already a fence there, so I'm not sure if that even makes sense. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I think that this might be one of those cases, and I'm guilty of this myself, where we get all excited about something that really sounds like it's telling, but it's actually kind of nothing, because it's way, way too early for any kind of demo to be happening. It's way too early for demo to be happening at the transportation hub. They haven't even broken ground. They're still parking at the space where they're supposed to be building the Eastern Gateway. The Eastern Gateway is going over there. We talked about that last week on the other side of Harbor Boulevard. The Eastern Gateway is going to be replacing the transportation hub that's here now out at the harbor entrance. They're going to be putting Avatar in this space. That means the transportation hub has to go somewhere else. It's going to the Eastern Gateway. People are still parking there. So they're super far away from doing anything remotely, positive in that direction. So why would they be building a fence today, if it were supposed to be for Avatar? I do feel like we might be excited for nothing. But I want to be excited. I'm going to hope that I'm wrong. I'm going to hope that it's not, because I'll tell you one thing. I trust Scott Gustin implicitly with every single thing he reports. And if he says that it's going to mark some of the first visible signs of work on the arrival updates announced early this year, I'm inclined to believe him. We'll stay tuned. We don't know the date range on when this permit or when this fence will come up, so it could be a ways off still. But I mean, every week I'll be walking this path in and looking for signs. We'll leave the park. We'll go out to Harbor Boulevard, and I happen to notice this lonely little excavator there, and it looks like they're getting ready to do some more trench work. We saw them doing trench work a few months ago, and it looks like they're getting ready to do another stretch here. You can even see, I don't think they were already done, but you can see where they have scraped the surface a little bit, so they could be ready to do something there as well. We'll stay tuned. We'll go out to look at the backside of Avengers Campus, Avengers Infinity Defense. Not a lot to really report on here. This building looks pretty much like it was last week. I mean, it does seem to be more steel. Perhaps this is those I-beams that we saw staged on the ground on the flatbed truck last week. Get a closer look at what's going on in that top level of the building to the right. I can't tell what that debris-looking stuff is on top of there, but that seems to be going a little bit further along than we saw previously. And then down below, they've got some wood up, setting up a perimeter, possible construction there, possible forms going up there perhaps, getting ready to build something of a concrete nature there is my guess. We'll get into the park. We'll go to Pixar Pier to get on the Pixar Pal run, but first, looks like Mr. Potato Head is back. I wonder how many people know or remember that Mr. Potato Head used to take off his ear. In the middle of his bit, he would take off his ear and then put it back. Like I forgot about it. I forgot. It had been such a long time since I've seen it that when I noticed they were doing the refurb, I'm like, oh yeah, you remember that? And for the people who were actually here at the time, were present and saw it, witnessed it, they'd have probably forgotten too. That was a long time ago. Hasn't worked forever. Okay, as usual, first look will be at Coco. Nothing happening there. This looks exactly like we've left it every week for the past month or two, so no movement on that. There is Avengers Infinity Defense from the sky, and that steel is definitely looking more filled in, more finished. There is still staging on the ground there. You can see some I-beams perhaps staged on the dirt there on the ground. We'll take a look left, and there's no movement there, although there is some equipment, I think, that does look to be equipment of the excavator variety in between those two cones, though I can't be certain because the image that I captured was quite pixelated. I did catch, though, this is interesting. I don't know what this could possibly mean. Look to the left. There's the main structure. There's those white portables, perhaps, and then there's this structure that's popping up. My eyes said, David, that wasn't there before. That wasn't there before. To the left of the big pine tree, they have built something. Now, it's on the other side, though. There's the portable. There's the white building there. They seem to be, spatially speaking, it looks like those structures are in between whatever it is they constructed there and the main structure that's to its right. Here's a look. This is just last Friday. If you look to the left, on the left side of that pine tree, that was not there. And what that is, I'm not even sure what that is. I mean, is it? My goodness, I'm going to need somebody to tell me what's going on here and how that relates to the rest of the building. Are they going to try to connect that with the other? And what does that mean? Oh, that could just be the entrance area. Perhaps all they need really is a roof, right? They don't have to build an interior. I mean, those structures could still be moved. They're portable in nature, I'm sure. But I don't know, man. That is just a baffling development, and I'm looking forward to seeing how those two things start to relate to each other in the coming weeks. Otherwise, everything else looks about as we found it last week. We're going to head over to Cars Land next, but on the way I wanted to stop at Paradise Garden. Every week I check to see, what's going on with the net. I want to see if they ever catch anything. And sure enough, this week it actually happened. On the other side of that umbrella, a water bottle. It actually happens, you guys. It actually happens. People do. And I'm sure this is not the first. I'm sure I just, they probably pick this, clean it up every night, or maybe even more than that. I'm sure there have been other occasions, but people actually do lose their stuff over the edge of Goofy Sky School, and they literally had to build a net to catch it. I'm trying to imagine the circumstances that had to have happened for a person to have that water bottle in their hand and then lose it over the edge. Were they trying to take a drink in the middle of the ride? Guess, man. I guess maybe it's true. Guests can't be trusted. They can't, in terms of holding things, it's not going to be long, you guys, before we can't film on any ride. Period. We had the thing happening right now, or recently, with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. No filming on there, because that's the reason why that ride shuts down so often, is because guests are dropping stuff on the floor. It's super sensitive. It has to know if there's anything on the floor, it stops the ride. I mean, it won't be long. It won't be long. I have to film all these rides now so that I can get them in and use them for later, I guess. All right, we've made it to Cars Land. Here's something. This is something I've noticed now. This is going on 2 weeks now. The parks are packed. This is Cars Land, Route 66. At 10:30 in the morning, it was packed. Meanwhile, okay, we'll take a look over the edge, and that's pretty much what we saw last week with respect to that vertical rebar there popping out over the edge of the wall there, the construction wall. But if we take another look on the other side, we can get a glimpse of what that's going to eventually look like, as they have already finished part of that wall. You can look through the tree there on the left. What they're building there is a cinder block wall. Those are cinder blocks. I'm assuming it looks like that to me. And that used to be that vertical rebar, and they have completed that section. So I would imagine that's going to keep going around the other side. More cinder block wall around that, the perimeter of all that rebar. I mentioned it's busy. Let's take a peek at Radiator Springs Racers. 90 minutes. All right, 90 minutes at 10:30. Okay, Avengers Campus, Avengers Infinity Defense. They've got a big giant crane out there. Or not a crane, I'm not sure what that is. Not the kind of crane that they use for the industrial building steel, but something that needs to be used for heavy lifting at least. You'll notice I mentioned last week that there was that stuff hanging from the roofline of that structure, and I thought my image had been taken after the one that was provided by Critter Club, but apparently they did get there after I did, and that stuff appeared after I shot my stuff last Friday. And I thought it was electrical, but I have been corrected, and it's strap. That's not for electrical. It seems to be the common wisdom there is that straps for HVAC. So thank you to those viewers who updated me on that. Oh, and now we've got a pile of dirt. That I don't have any problem recognizing. I do love me some dirt. There's a new pile of dirt back here, which is curious because you would think that they would be done digging by this point. But they have in fact excavated more dirt back there. And with that, we'll head out into downtown Disney. Still waiting for anything to happen out here with these ticket booths. Still waiting for anything to happen with Earl of Sandwich and Porto's. Porto's was first announced, I want to say, D23 2022. It has been 3 years since they've announced it. This place still exists. Not only have they not built it in those 3 years, which they easily could, not only have they not started it, it's still open. Well, I mean, Earl's is, but it's still a thing. They haven't even begun to start. We have concept art for a building, but there's something very, very wrong with that whole agreement. And I remember hearing, I think it was on social, somebody said that they don't want to be open at midnight. And that's a huge dude. Well, now it's 11 p.m. Well, I guess or downtown would stay open an hour longer than the rest of the park does, I believe. So it would still be something like midnight. But they don't want to be open that late. And I think I also remember hearing a long time ago that they don't want to be open on the major holidays. And that's part of their thing. Which I mean, I guess New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving? A lot of places are closed those days, but Disney's not. Disney's not closed those days. Those are some of the biggest days they have. There is something definitely amiss with that Porto's and Disney arrangement, to the point where I'm starting to wonder if they're going to even be able to build this thing. It's 3 years. 3 years. They're almost done. They're almost done with the other, well, I don't know how almost is. That's been going pretty slow. We're going to go there next. Meanwhile, Naples still has its scrim and scaffold up throughout the entirety of its exterior, or at least the second floor exterior. But the restaurant is still open. Nothing to see here. Well, actually, there is something to see. They're doing movies. You see that? Movie nights here at downtown Disney. Those are being held out here in the performance area where the fake grass is. As a matter of fact, we got this footage from Theme Park IQ. He posted this on social. It looks like quite a turnout. That must have been fun. You can watch a Halloween themed movie out there at night in downtown Disney. That must be really, really cool for guests. Nothing happening again at Earl of Sandwich, the new Earl of Sandwich. In fact, it seems like the only thing that is happening in downtown Disney right now is ESPN Zone. That's the only thing that's got any visible progress over the past month at least. The future home of Lululemon and who knows what else, but they've been making some visible progress out here on the exteriors of the ESPN Zone building. You can even see that they've added the breeze block. I'm going to guess so there's like stickers to the window of that building there, but you can see through the glass a little bit, maybe with the naked eye better than you can see from the video, but they seem to be finishing up or nearly finished on that one interior set just on the other side of that glass. And then this is curious. That still looks like ESPN Zone theming to me. That whatever that display thing is there, that digital display above the entrance. Are they keeping that just like that? Okay, I mentioned we still had some updates to do in Disneyland, but look at Main Street. Again, packed. Still waiting for Jane to come back. This is a new development. I hadn't noticed this, in previous weeks, so I'm not sure how long it's been like this, but Jane is still not appearing. She's down there. She's moving about. She's making her little sounds back there. The sound of Jane is still happening, but she's not moving up, that is. She goes from side to side, but she does not peek out over the fence anymore. Thought I would take a peek at what's happening at the Disneyland Railroad at New Orleans Square. Business as usual there. Nothing happening. Construction walls are still there where that old building used to be. Look at this. Guys, look at that queue. This is the Haunted Mansion. I have not seen guests out here in this emergency queue space since the attraction reopened. I mean, that's Seriously, that's the busiest it's ever been. Period. This is the except for the first week or two after after Haunted Mansion reopened, and after we were doing virtual queue. This is the busiest I've ever seen it. Man, look at that. They're out here. They had to build a queue. They had to build a queue using tape. And we gotta follow that up. What does that mean? It means 75 minutes. 75 minutes for Haunted Mansion. I really hope that this is all happening when I shoot our next State of Disneyland report coming in, because I am desperate for a busy day during State of Disneyland. Let's hope so. It's packed. And then there's Raised Berets. I just got, you know what? I'm rooting for Raised Berets. I want something to happen. And I did happen to notice, okay, the roof looks about the same as it has the past couple of weeks. There's still lots of growth, but dead spots also. But we've got something new, a new development back there. That looks like cloverleaf behind the Raised Berets sign. That looks like naturally occurring cloverleaf. Like they didn't plant that. It's supposed to be grass, but somehow something else is growing back there. Fascinating. Let's take a look at the refurb calendar now as we wrap things up. Casey Jr. and Storybook Land both closed presently. By the way, these are just the 3 attractions are closed at Disneyland right now. Casey Jr., Storybook Land are 2 of them. We do not yet have a reopening date, so it's looking like end of November or early December. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is the 3rd attraction closed. That's per the refurb calendar, reopening on November 23rd. It's a Small World. It's going to close on October 30th, but that's just to install the Small World holiday overlay for Christmas. That'll be reopening on November 14th, the first day of the holiday season. Then over at DCA, every attraction is open. Every ride. Mickey's PhilharMagic is still expected to close on October 6th, reopening on October 31st. Interesting though, PhilharMagic over at Magic Kingdom is also closing at about the same time. Coincidence? Probably. Redwood Creek Challenge Trail is closing on November 1st, also to install its overlay for the holiday season. So really, it's just the only thing that's not operational today at DCA, period, is Mickey's PhilharMagic. And that's it, guys. That's our update for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And fresh baked.